Decode relationships, transform connections. Welcome to Beyond Boundaries. There's something different about you. You feel it, don't you? Maybe you've never put it into words, but deep down you know you are not like everyone else. People look at you and they see something they can't quite explain. Some admire you, some envy you, some even try to bring you down. But no matter what life throws at you, you rise again, stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And do you know why? Because you are a woman favored by God. You are not ordinary. You are chosen, set apart, and guided by a force far greater than you can imagine. And today I'm going to reveal 8 powerful signs that prove you are walking in divine favor if you recognize even one of these in your life. Understand this, you are destined for something far greater than what this world has planned for you. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand these signs, you'll never question your worth again. Life is suffering, and anyone who tells you otherwise is either naive or lying, but there's something deeply profound about suffering because it's the one thing that reveals the truth about who you are. A woman favored by God is not someone who has lived an easy life. No, quite the opposite. She is the one who has walked through fire and come out stronger. She is the one who has been being tested by loss, rejection, and hardship, yet refused to be destroyed. You see, most people, when they face adversity, they collapse under the weight of it. They become bitter, resentful, looking for someone to blame. They let their pain define them. But the woman who is truly favored, she does something else entirely. She takes the suffering and she turns it into something meaningful. There's something about a person who has endured immense struggle and hasn't let it break them. They carry themselves differently. They speak with a kind of depth that can't be faked. They have a presence that commands attention, not because they seek it, but because their very existence radiates strength. Why people either love or fear you, and people notice this. They might not always be able to articulate why, but they feel it. They feel the weight of the battle she has fought and won. They are drawn to it. But make no mistake, this strength comes at a cost. Because the moment you rise above your suffering, you will find that not everyone will celebrate it. Some will envy it. Some will resent it. Some will go out of their way to challenge you to see if they can break you in ways that life could not. And this is where the real test begins, because it's not just about surviving hardship. It's about refusing to let it harden you. It's about taking the pain and using it to cultivate wisdom instead of resentment. It's about seeing suffering not as a curse, but as a tool for transformation. And this is where most people fail. Most people let their suffering turn them into something ugly. They become cynical, closed off, unwilling to trust, unwilling to love. But a woman favored by God, she does the opposite. She remains open, not because she is not naive, but because she understands that true power lies in vulnerability. She refuses to let pain rob her of her ability to feel. She refuses to let the cruelty of the world make her cruel in return. And think about what that means for a moment. To remain kind in a world that has given you every reason not to be, that is strength. To continue to believe in love after experiencing betrayal, that is faith. To rise after every fall, to face every challenge with the knowledge that you have already endured worse, that is power. And the world will not always reward this. In fact, it will often do the opposite. People will question you. They will misunderstand you. They will wonder why you don't carry the same bitterness that they do. They will mistake your resilience for arrogance. They will test you, hoping to see you fail. But what they don't realize is that you have already been tested. Life has already put you through the worst. and he did not crumble. So what could they possibly do that would be worse than what you've already survived? There's something almost terrifying about a person who has nothing left to fear. When you've been at rock bottom and you've climbed your way out, you develop an unshakable confidence, not the kind that boasts or demands attention, but the quiet, steady confidence of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they are capable of. And that is the mark of someone truly favored, because God does not grant favor to the weak, to the complacent, to those who refuse to grow. He grants it to those who have proven themselves capable of carrying the weight of it, because favor is not just about blessings, it is about responsibility. And not everyone is willing to bear that burden. There's something about you that people notice, even when you're not trying. It's not the gift of intuition, and why it's often misunderstood, just the way you look or the way you speak. It's deeper than that. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you move through the world, with a kind of presence that unsettles some and draws others in like a magnet. And it's not because you're putting on a show trying to impress or be something you're not. No, it's because you are different. You stand apart. And when that happens, you start to see a strange pattern in your life. People are either powerfully drawn to you or they seem almost irrationally opposed to you. There is rarely an in-between. And that's difficult, isn't it? Because most people want to be liked. Most people want to fit in, to be accepted, to be understood. But when you are a woman favored by God, that's not the path you're given. Instead, you walk into a room and immediately shift the atmosphere. Some people sense your strength, your depth, your wisdom, and they feel safe in your presence. They seek you out. They trust you without knowing why. They recognize something in you that they are drawn to, even if they can't fully explain it. But others, they feel threatened. They sense your power, and instead of admiring it, they become resentful. They see your confidence as arrogance, your independence as a challenge, your presence as a reminder of everything they are not. And so they try to tear you down. They gossip, they criticize, they try to find fault where there is none. They test you, hoping you'll break. They pretend to be your friend only to disappear the moment they realize they cannot control or diminish you. And at first, this can be painful because you might start to wonder why. Why do some people seem to despise me when I've done nothing to harm them? Why do I feel like I'm either deeply loved or completely misunderstood? And if you're not careful, you might even start to believe that you are the problem. But that's a lie. The truth is your presence is disruptive, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because you are forcing people to confront themselves. You see, most people live in denial. They avoid looking too closely at their own insecurities, their own weaknesses, their own failures. And then you walk in self-assured, unshaken, fully aware of who you strength forged through struggle, the test of resilience are, and where you're going. And without even meaning to, you become a mirror. Some people look at you and feel inspired. They see what is possible and they want to grow, to become better, to reach higher. But others, they look at you and feel exposed. They see what they could be, and instead of rising to meet that challenge, they retreat into bitterness. They tear you down because it's easier than facing the truth about themselves. And this is where most people falter. They see the rejection, the resentment, and they take it personally. They think, maybe if I make myself small, people will accept me. Maybe if I change, they won't feel so uncomfortable. But that's not your path. A woman favored by God does not shrink herself to make others comfortable. She does not beg to be understood. She does not lower herself to be more palatable to those who fear their own inadequacy. She stands firm. She walks forward. She continues to shine, even when others would prefer her to fade into the background, because the truth is, you were not meant for everyone. You were not meant to fit into every circle, to be loved by every person you meet. The right people, the ones who are meant to walk with you on this journey, they will see you, they will value you, and they will rise alongside you. And the rest, they will remove themselves, let them, because their rejection is not a loss, it is a revelation. It is proof that you are not ordinary, that you were never meant to be, and that is something to be grateful for, not something to grieve. There's something unsettling about knowing things before you should, about feeling a shift in a room before anyone else does, about sensing when someone's words don't align with their true intentions. It's a burden in a way, to see what others cannot. And yet it's also a gift. A woman favored by God is not blind to the world around her. She is deeply attuned to it. She picks up on the subtleties, the unspoken truths, the energy beneath the surface, and while others may ignore their instincts, second-guess themselves, or silence the voice inside them that warns them of danger, she does not, because she has learned, often the hard way, that her intuition is not just a fleeting feeling, it is a form of protection. And yet people will try to convince her otherwise. They will tell her she's overthinking, that she's imagining things, that she's being too sensitive. But she is not. She has walked this path long enough to know when something is wrong. She has seen enough to recognize deception, manipulation, and false promises before they fully reveal themselves. And so she does not need proof to trust what she already knows. She does not need someone to validate her instincts before she acts on them. She has learned that by the time the truth is obvious to everyone else, it is already too late. This is why she is careful with her trust, not because why rejection is often divine protection is cold or unfeeling, but because she understands that not everyone who enters her life is meant to stay. She does not mistake charm for character. She does not let words distract her from actions. She has seen people say all the right things while doing the exact opposite. And so she listens, really listens, not just to what people say, but to what they don't say, to the way they behave when no one is watching, to the way their energy shifts when they think they are no longer being observed. And this is where most people fail. They ignore the warnings, they override their own instincts in favor of hope or love or the need for approval. They see the red flags and convince themselves they are not real. But a woman favored by God has learned that her intuition is not just a whisper in the back of her mind. It is a force designed to keep her from harm. She has learned that the moment she starts explaining away the discomfort she feels around someone, she has already begun to betray herself. But this wisdom comes at a cost, because when you are a person who sees clearly, you quickly realize that not everyone wants to be seen. Some people need you to be blind in order to manipulate you. They need you to doubt yourself so that they can maintain control. And when they realize that you do not fall for their illusions, they turn against you. They call you difficult, accuse you of being paranoid, or distance themselves because they cannot handle the weight of your